Hi everyone, my name is Joy and I want to thank you so much for stopping by my channel. This is my journey through grief and basically how I'm leaning into God through this, and I'm just going to share what I'm going through with you guys. I did feel like I needed to share about just grieving and some of the things that I'm realizing with it. I realize that we need to be really, really gentle with ourselves, really kind with ourselves, really understanding with ourselves. What I mean by being gentle is not expecting a lot when you're going through this. We are 3.5 months in. Our daughter passed away in September of 2023. So this is what I've known for the past 3 months of, I told my husband and my boys, like, number one, there's no wrong way to grieve. Everyone's going to grieve differently. Everyone's grief journey is different, even though, like, me and my husband both lost a child. And a lot of the things we tend to feel the same and grieve the same, but other things are completely different. He's able to talk about things or do things that are easier for him that are hard for me, and vice versa. But I think we need to be gentle. Don't expect a lot of yourself. Do what you can every day. Some of the things that I did weirdly, and not every day, I didn't feel like this every day. There was most days I didn't feel like this, but the days that I did, I would maybe declutter something because visually having that clutter felt so overwhelming. And I think if you can't do that, maybe you could ask somebody to help you, because I know that everybody around wants to be helpful. They just don't know how. And I think we don't know how either. That's something that I did. Even my husband too. I remember him cleaning out one of our pantry when we got home. He's like, I just can't, every time I go in there to look at it, it just feels overwhelming. So he just cleaned it out, and it's just the oddest thing. I also, for me, I don't make plans ahead of time because I don't know how I'm going to feel. I have a friend who was very sweet, and she asked me if I wanted to do like a food prepping class. It's just one day, but I just thought I can't even think that far ahead, because right now I try to only think one day at a time, because when I think past that, it feels very overwhelming, very sad. Thinking about the rest of my life without my daughter feels very, very difficult. So I try to just focus on the current day. What do I need to do today? Sometimes it's just, what task do I need to do today? And when I'm done with that one task, then, okay, what's the next thing I need to do today? Some days are like that. I think we need to give ourselves grace. We need to give the other people grace that are around us that are also grieving as well, especially if it's a family unit, if there's a lot of family members. And so those are the kind of things that I tend to do. I do like to cook normally. My husband's been very kind. There's most days I don't feel like it, so we're having like a sandwich or cereal. And then there's other days that I cook a nice big meal because I feel like I can. And normally I'd probably beat myself up over that, and I'm not doing that this time. And my husband's also been very kind about that. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll just eat a sandwich. It's no big deal. So if cooking food is too hard, if you're someone who does those things and that feels too hard, then just do something simple, and that's okay. I have found that I've started baking bread since we've been home from the hospital after my daughter passed. And I think it's some of the thing that it helps me to keep my mind kind of busy. I'm not avoiding, because I do think avoiding is not good. I do think that if you avoid, it's not going to change how intense it feels later. But I think there's times that your mind needs to feel busy. And so I've been baking bread and things like that, even though I really can't eat it, but my family can. My husband and my son, who's home, can definitely eat it. But that has been something, because I kind of have to learn it. It's not too difficult, and it keeps my mind a little bit busy, because if I sit down and I'm not doing anything, that's when things feel extra, extra hard. So I don't know, maybe doing something that doesn't take a lot of effort, but maybe trying something new that maybe you've wanted to try before, that might be something just to kind of help give your mind something to do that's not what you've always done. Because when I'm working, it's stuff that I do all the time, even though I'm a creative person, and so you have to think about what you're going to create, and that can be hard some days. But then when you're doing it, then my brain will start thinking about everything, and that feels hard. So I think that things like that can be helpful. I've also started stitching with felt, and I don't like sewing. I have liked cross-stitched my whole life, but I started making little felt ornaments and things like that, and that's been a nice and easy thing that kind of keeps my mind busy, and I have to kind of think about it. I've also just started learning how to embroider, because I guess same thing. So, maybe things like that might be helpful. I also want to bring up that sometimes people can say insensitive things, whether they're meaning to or not. And then I think other people are just uncomfortable with your grief and just kind of say things that aren't okay. And then you have people that say really, really wonderful things and are super, super helpful. I have a childhood friend, I have a couple childhood friends that have both had loss. And they have been absolutely wonderful. They're both Christians, and they have been absolutely wonderful in the things that they're saying. And I do want to say, especially for Christians, that sometimes we can come across insensitive by being like, oh, just, they're in heaven, like that's great, or, or coming across that way. Yes, it's great that our loved one is in heaven. That does not change that we miss them and that we're grieving them. The thought of them being in heaven is good for them. That doesn't change how sad we feel and how we miss their everyday presence. Sorry. It doesn't change that we don't get to talk to them and hug them and all of those things. That is missing. So I think when we want to say that to somebody, we want to say, they're in heaven, they're not suffering. Yes, but there needs to be a first part or a second part to that of, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that your person is gone. I am so sorry for your loss. I am sorry that you missed them. I'm sorry that they're not here. I'm sorry that you all have to go through that. There needs to be something. And some people just don't want to hear that at all. Some people can't handle hearing that. And so I would just be mindful if you are watching this and someone else is going through it, even if you've gone through it, to be careful about saying that, because it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't make you feel better. And as a believer, you already know that your loved one's in heaven. That doesn't change your feelings about that. Again, I've talked about this in every video, that I am just leaning into Jesus. I am leaning into God. This is the only thing that is making me be able to get out of bed every day, making me be able to move forward. I mean, of course I have my other children and my granddaughter, and I want to move forward for them too. But how do I do that when I'm grieving so much? I do that because I have God and I have Jesus in my life, and I have to make myself lean into him. And I realize that some people might feel angry with God, and I think that's normal. But that still means, I think, that you would probably still need to lean into him, because he is a safe place. He is going to give us comfort. He is hope. He does give us hope for things. And even though we're suffering, we can have hope in Jesus. So I do have just a couple Bible verses to share with you, like I have been doing. I'm going to start with Matthew 11:28 through 30. Okay, Matthew 11:28 through 30. It says, this is Jesus speaking. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And that is true. I have felt that personally. And again, this is just my own personal experiences that I'm sharing with you. And in these really difficult, this whole thing is difficult. And then you have even more difficult moments. And when I am in those and I'm reading his word and listening to what he's saying to me, it feels better, even if it's just by a little bit. And any little bit of relief feels amazing, as you know, if you've lost someone that, you know, that's been close to you. Then I'm going to go to John 14:27. I think I've read this one before on one of my other videos, but I love it. It says, peace I leave with you. This is Jesus speaking again. John 14:27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. I love that Bible verse so much. That's definitely, I mean, I have a lot of verses go through my head, and that's one that definitely is on my heart all the time. I want you to know that I am praying for you guys. Even though I don't know you, God knows you. And I pray for anyone that's watching this, and I'm so sorry that you're going through a loss, or that you know someone that's going through a loss. I am definitely praying for you, and God loves you, and you're not alone. I want to thank you so much for watching this video and for going on this grief journey with me. I appreciate you so very, very much, and I will be back with another video.